Jackson, I imagine kind of a weird situation for you coming off the bench today after starting last week. How would you evaluate your performance today, and what do you think you kind of learned about yourself in a game like this?
Yeah, it's definitely not easy, especially when, you have no idea when you're going to be coming in or, when your time is. And so there's definitely times where it's hard to, try to just stay focused as much as you can. And for me, really, I just give a huge shout out to my teammates of just, their support and all that stuff, and, keeping all of us, our camaraderie is just getting stronger and stronger, and everybody's growing together. And I think that, today was a big step for us, and just showed that, we look after each other. And, definitely when there's times where, people are kind of going through different situations, we have each other's back. I think for me, I learned about myself, you really just you gotta be prepared every single play, and you never know what's going to happen. You never know when your number is going to be called. So I think that's something that I learned a lot tonight.
Was it a conscious effort on your part and the coach's part to take more deep shots today, or was that just kind of taking what the defense gave you?
I think it was really just kind of taking what the defense gave us this week. Last week against Troy, they played a lot of. They kept everything in front of them, so we didn't have a lot of opportunities to get behind them and get big plays. But this week, we did have those opportunities. And, for me, I just have, trust in the guys that are out there, and I'm going to give them a shot, anytime it's a one-on-one or just opportunities like that for a big play. And tonight, they showed their ability to make plays.
Did you find it easier to get in rhythm tonight when those big shots were kind of landing, or is that kind of something that doesn't factor in for you?
Yeah, I think that, when you hit a big one, you gain a little bit of confidence going into the very next play, and you get excited when you see when the coach is call plays like that, because the possibility of making a big play like that. And so it was really just once you kind of hit one, you feel a lot of confidence going into the next play.
Yeah, Trig was just in here, and he said that one-handed catch for Mingo made his body shake. I got to wonder, what was it like on your end seeing that?
Well, honestly, I didn't see it when I was on the field. I saw that it was a contested catch. There was some offensive line and defensive line guys in my way, so I couldn't really see it. And then when they showed the play of the game, I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe he just snagged that with one hand, which is pretty sick. And, he's a stud, and he's going to continue making huge plays like that. So.
I know you've had all these reps in practice, but now with 2 games, it's a little bit different. But how do you feel that chemistry has gotten with you and the receivers now that you've kind of had 2 game experiences under your belt?
Yeah, I feel like it's continuing to just get better and better. The more reps that we have, I think that we still have some ways to go with one another, but I think it's just really exciting because all we're going to do is just get better.
I know you can't talk for Luke, but just observing it, how hard was it for him tonight, kind of going out with that injury and having to take some plays off?
Yeah, you definitely feel for him in that situation. You never hope someone gets hurt or stuff like that. And I can tell, when I saw it happen, that it kind of shook him a little bit. But I think it showed his toughness because he was able to stay in there after it happened and have successful drives. So I was just really trying to just be there for him and do all I can to look after him.
Jackson, inserting yourself into this game and dominating and performing the way that you did, would you say that this is kind of the most confidence that you've had since you've been at Ole Miss?
I wouldn't really say that. I think that I was just able to make, some plays here and there. Quite honestly, I feel like I could have made a lot more plays, and there were definitely things that I missed that, I'm kind of bummed about and looking forward to clean it up in the future. But I think really for me, I hold myself to a high standard, and those mistakes that I know the things that what I did wrong. I kind of just I want to for sure clean those things up because I know the capabilities of this team, and just all the players around me and the whole offense. We do our part and get them the ball, they're going to make huge plays for us. So trying to just get better each and every day.
I know you've mentioned it before, but kind of a couple weeks into the season, there's still being a quarterback competition. I mean, what's that kind of just been like for you now that we're 2 weeks in and it still fully hasn't been decided yet?
Honestly, it's a little bit of a whirlwind that you kind of go through mentally. There's definitely times where, you have a really good day, and then there's a day that you might not do the best or how you wanted to play. So, for me, I try not to read into things sometimes, but anytime there's a competition like this, we both are going after the same thing, and we're working really hard at it, and we're pushing each other. So there's definitely times where your head kind of gets a little foggy, but you just got to try to just keep pushing through.
I mean, just your right here, just kind of the evaluation of the offensive line in front of you tonight when you did come in, and then your start last week. Just what did you think about those guys up front?
Yeah, I think that they're extremely talented. Last week you saw their ability to just move the line of scrimmage and how effective we were able to run the ball, and then tonight how stout they were in the pass game. There's a lot of guys with a ton of experience up there, and there's a lot of guys who aren't even in the top 5 in the core. They're so talented and really deep at that position. So I'm just really excited, and for us as an offense, it rides on their shoulders, and there's a lot of guys that can do really, really good things for us. So I'm really proud of them, and I'm excited to see them get better each and every week. Thank you, guys.